So the way the CO2 cartridge works, it's pretty simple. You have a CO2 cartridge here. This part screws on to your bike stem valve, and there's actually a valve here. So when you turn it counterclockwise, it allows air to flow out of the cartridge, and this controls the flow of air. To change out the cartridge or install a new one, once the cartridge is depleted, you just unscrew it. There's a little pin in the middle there, so this is a new cartridge, and it's sealed. So once I screw this in, that sharp pin in there is going to pierce this and let the air out. So what we need to do is screw it in all the way so that it seals on the rubber seal there, so all the air doesn't go out until we connect it to the bike. So we want to make sure that this valve is closed. I'm going to screw this in, but I'm going to make sure it goes all the way nice and snug. Alright, so everything is working. Very important on the Presta valve. You need to make sure you unscrew this so there's an opening for the air to go in. We have a flat tire right here, so I'm just going to screw this on. Screw it on nice and snug so you have a nice seal. Let's turn the valve until I hear the air flowing. Alright, the tire is nice and solid now. And everything got frosty. This is really super cold right now. That's just what happens with the CO2. And then just unscrew it from the valve. And then make sure you close this valve. Alright, and you're good to go. Your tire is nice and pumped up. We don't know what the pressure is, so that's one downside to the CO2, but there's enough pressure in here to get home on. So that's how the CO2 valve works. Pretty simple. It's a very popular method for road bike riders. That's exactly what I use. Really the only con to a CO2 inflator is this is only enough compressed air to pump up maybe one medium-sized tire. So once this is gone, you're done. You have no more ability to pump up any tires. So if you're going to use this kind of inflator, number one, I would definitely practice with the one you have to make sure you know how to do it without wasting any of the compressed air. And two, you might want to carry 2 cartridges or even 3, depending on how often you tend to get flats. If you found this video helpful, please hit like below. Please subscribe, and I'll be making a video next on how to change a bike tire on the road. Please subscribe so you don't miss that, and thank you for watching. Today we're going to inflate a completely flat 700 by 35C gravel tire, and we're going to use a CO2 inflator. A CO2 inflator is to be used only for emergency purposes when you're out on the road and you need to inflate a tire. CO2 leaks out of your tire a lot quicker than regular air does, so when you use this, when you get home, you want to replace it with regular air. Take a brand new cartridge here, screw it in all the way, put the holder on here, screw the inflator onto the valve. This tire is completely flat. All right, take the lock off, and now we're going to inflate the tire. All right, I gave it everything there is in this cartridge. All right, just unscrew the inflator, take the pressure reading and see what we get. Okay, it looks like it gave us just about 60 psi. This tire is actually rated 55 to 85 psi, so we are within the limits of this tire and we can continue our ride. This is the Genuine Innovations Ultraflate trigger-controlled CO2 inflator for bike tires. This inflator will take 16-gram threaded cartridges or 20-gram threaded or unthreaded cartridges. And the valve head will fit Presta as well as Schrader valves. This is one of the easiest to use CO2 inflators out there. Simply either press in or screw in the cartridge, and the seal on the top is pierced by that pin that you see down inside there. For this to work, you simply screw the cartridge in all the way. It'll pierce it and seal it at the same time. Now for a 20-gram non-threaded cartridge, since you can't screw it in, this holder is designed only for the 20-gram size. So you put the 20-gram size in there, and now when you screw the cup on all the way, it will push that cartridge up into the pin and pierce it. And now you can simply control the flow of CO2 with the trigger. You can fill it slow or you can fill it fast. And if you put this lock on, when you do this, you can't accidentally release CO2 before you're ready to do so. To inflate a Presta valve, simply loosen the lock nut a little bit. Press the pump head onto the valve nice and snug. Release the lock, and then slowly press the trigger until CO2 starts to flow. This is just for demonstration. You don't want to fill up a tube that's not in a tire. To inflate a Schrader valve, simply screw on the pump head onto the valve. Screw it on all the way nice and snug so you don't have any leaks. Release the lock and slowly press the trigger to allow CO2 to fill your tire. The 16-gram cartridges are great for most road bike tires. and the 20 grams are made for the bigger tires such as 29ers and mountain bike tires. There will be more information down in the description regarding tire sizes and how much pressure these will generate. The CO2 cartridge inflator is for emergency purposes only. The reason being, when you inflate a tire with CO2, it leaks out pretty fast, so you could lose all that pressure within a couple of days. So after using this on the road, when you get home, you're going to want to replace the CO2 in your tire with regular air. All right, that is the Genuine Innovations Ultraflate. There's a link in the description below. If you like this video, please hit like and please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. See you out on the road. Today I'm going to pump this up with a 16-gram CO2 cartridge. We're going to measure how much pressure it developed inside this tire. This is a Continental Gator hard shell 28mm tire, rated 8 bar or 116 psi. First I'm going to put the lock on, trigger lock. Now I'm going to screw in this Genuine Innovations 16-gram CO2 cartridge. Screw it all the way in so it seals completely flat. Just pop it on there, take the trigger off. Alright, nice and frosty and cold. Let's see how much pressure we have. Look at that, 95 psi, and I didn't even use the whole cartridge. Today we're going to test to see how much pressure a 16-gram CO2 cartridge can put in a flat Bontrager R3, this is 700 by 32. This is set up as a tubeless. We're going to let all the air out of this tire. Alright, this 700 by 32 tire, tubeless, it is completely flat, and it has a maximum inflation pressure of 70 psi on this tire, 4.8 bar. We're going to take one 16-gram CO2 cartridge, and we're going to put it into this CO2 inflator here, break open the seal, put our cold protector here so we don't freeze our fingers off, and then we're going to screw this in to this Presta valve. Alright, that is screwed in, tire is completely flat. Now we just want to undo the valve, allow CO2 to inflate the tire. That's the complete cartridge, empty. Alright, so now we're going to unscrew it from the valve. You can see it's nice and frosty. Alright, and now we're going to see what kind of pressure we have. We're going to zeroize our Planet Bike pressure meter here, pressure test, and let's see what we got here. We have 60 psi. That is perfect. That is exactly what I normally pump these up to. This is for emergency use only, so if you have to do this on the road, obviously after you have repaired a flat. So if you're out on the road and you get a flat and you put a tube in here, get out your CO2 inflator, and you'll be able to inflate it to a good riding pressure. But when you get home, if you have CO2 in here, you're going to want to let it all out and pump it up with real air, because CO2 will leak out of here in a day or two and you'll be flat again. Alright, thanks for watching. Okay, today we're going to see how much pressure a 16-gram CO2 cartridge can put using an Ultraflate inflator into a e-bike tire. This tire is a 700 by 50. This is an e-bike tire. We're going to use a Genuine Innovations 16-gram CO2 cartridge using a Genuine Innovations Ultraflate inflator. So first we're going to let all the air out of the tire. Alright, I've got all the air out of the tire. This is completely flat. And now we're going to use a 16-gram cartridge. Okay, I'm going to put the lock on so we don't accidentally deflate it. I'm going to screw this in all the way, nice and snug so it breaks the seal. And I'm going to put on the hand protector to keep you from freezing your fingers off. We're going to connect it on here nice and snug. Now we're going to just inflate it with the entire contents of the 16-gram cartridge. I know it's going to take at least that. Alright, flat tire, take the lock off, and here we go. I inflated that in about 3 to 4 seconds. There's nothing left in here. Let's disconnect it and see how much pressure we have. Alright, it feels pretty solid. Now we're going to take my Planet Bike pressure gauge and see what we got. Looks like we have about 22, 23 PSI right now in this tire, which is enough to probably get you home, but it's probably not enough. So we're going to try a 20-gram cartridge and see what we get with that. All right, so now we're going to try this again. We're going to use a 20-gram CO2 cartridge. This one doesn't have threads on it, so you just drop it in there. And we're going to use the case to tighten it up. And it'll tighten it up right to the seal, and it'll break the seal in. And that's how this one works. Okay, so now we have it ready to go. We're going to screw it in to the tire here. Nice snug seal there. All right, tire is flat. All right, so now we're going to use a 20-gram cartridge, and let's see what we get. All right, that's all she's got. All right, got a little more pressure in there. Let's get our Planet Bike pressure gauge and see what we have. All right, here we go. Low to mid 20s here. So even a 20 gauge cartridge doesn't seem to do the job. So let's see about two 16-gram cartridges and see what that does. Okay, so we're going to try two 16-gram CO2 cartridges to see if it will pump up this 700 by 50 millimeter e-bike tire. All right, so we're going to take the first cartridge, put the lock on, screw it in here, put on the protective cover so we don't freeze our fingers. All right, and we're going to screw it on. All right, take the lock off. All right, and let's inflate the tire. Full cartridge. Don't have a lot of pressure in there, so let's give it another cartridge and see what we get. All right, another brand new cartridge here. Finger protector on there. Get it screwed on there nice and snug. All right, safety off. And let's give it the whole second cartridge here. All right. All right, so let's see what we got here. We got just over 30 PSI in the tire after using two cartridges. And that's going to be enough. All right, because this tire is actually rated 30 to 60 PSI. So 30 PSI is within the recommended limits of this tire. So we're good to go with two CO2 cartridges. That's plenty to get you home. All right, thanks for watching the video. If you found this video informative, please hit like below. And I have a link to the Ultraflate Genuine Innovation CO2 Inflator down in the description if you want to check that out. And thanks so much for watching.